Hi, I'm Frank Vitz. I'm the creative director for CryENGINE with Crytek here at Gamescom 2015.
So let's start by talking about the new benchmark you guys are coming out with for people in virtual reality.
Yes, we're working with Basemark, and we're going to be producing a benchmark that is powered by CryENGINE, but that's meant to test the mettle of your rig, as an enthusiast of VR.
Give us an idea of why this is important. I've talked to analysts that said that currently only about 20% of PCs in the US will actually be able to run VR out of the gate.
Well, yeah, that's still speculative to some extent. Oculus has been issuing some specifications for the minimum requirements. Those are bound to change over time because we're getting things more optimized, but it's important to know that you need a certain baseline performance in order to get a good out-of-the-box experience. And so, a benchmark, just like Basemark has made in the past, but aimed directly at testing VR, frame rate, the power of your GPU, that sort of thing, will give consumers a good idea how to optimize their system for the best performance.
Can you give us a sense from a CryENGINE perspective of the ability for developers out there to create VR experiences and port them across Oculus, Morpheus, and HTC?
Oh yeah, we believe that CryENGINE is one of the best engines for VR because we have, it's in our pedigree to do stereoscopic 3D rendering and support high frame rates, lush worlds, high resolution. All of that sets the baseline, what you need for VR. And we also already natively run, you can run the same levels, the same game code on a PC, on a PlayStation 4. We even are supporting the Android platform now. So the prospect of being able to create a game and run it on those multiple platforms is exactly what you need for VR, and it'll work across multiple head-mounted displays as well.
Give us an idea of what VR is opening up creatively for some of the experiences we have here.
Oh yeah, well I've seen a lot of really interesting things out there. I can speak specifically to what we're doing. We're seeing that the sense of immersion that you get from VR that's the first step. When you get that sense of presence that you're in the world, that's the technical hurdle, the challenge of getting to that stage. Then where do you go with it? And so what we found is that there's a lot of fun things to experiment with, how you navigate through the world, how you interact with objects, how do you use the power of VR to help tell a story. And so, at Crytek, we always use our own medicine. We build the engine and we use it ourselves to develop games. So while we're solving the technical problems, we're also exploring the narrative space.
So what are some of the experiences you guys are showing here?
Here at Gamescom, we're showing our Back to Dinosaur Island Part 2. This is more or less a technical demo, because it's intended to use, we're using it as a platform to explore some of the other things I mentioned, like, how do you move in the world? What's the draw distance that you can support comfortably? How do you give people a sense of the scale of the world without inducing any nausea? But it's also, it has become a inspiration for an IP that we're developing, which we announced at E3 called Robinson: The Journey. And so everyone, we aren't saying it explicitly, but everyone sees that it's got elements of what we've revealed so far for Robinson: The Journey. A lot of those elements came out of this demo that we're working on. For example, dinosaurs.
So for the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of short demos when it comes to VR. What do you feel you guys are learning about creating long experiences, long video game experiences, immersing people in VR?
Yeah, the long-term immersion is going to be interesting. It's going to be a challenge. We think that there are still some lingering issues with, inducing nausea in people, because you have to have a rock-solid 90 frames per second. That seems to be the minimum. The latency, all of those technical issues have to be solved, and they have to stay solved while you're playing it. An ordinary game, if it stutters a little bit, it's no big deal. You still suspend disbelief and go on. In VR, if something like that happens, it can cause a very jarring discontinuity. So we have to take care of that. But even beyond that, we think that the sense of immersion is going to be, initially we're going to try to sustain it for small chunks of time, maybe 20 minutes to half an hour. And so that means designing your experience to have either short-term challenges that you can solve and then move on, sort of episodic. So our approach is going to be to make bite-sized chunks of VR experience. And then over time, as we're sure that of the appetite and the capacity of the audience to handle it, I think you'll see longer and longer form experiences.